two different situations perfectly mirrored each other, where I got a lot of anger put towards me. And it was showing me, I really feel it was showing me that I'd created this identity of being ethically non-monogamous, and that had become an identity, and this was the universe giving me the opportunity to smash that identity away. It was interesting, those female friends that I had, I think I mirrored how I was with my mum, where I'd really care for them, really look after them, really want them to be okay, always advising them, always kind of going, how can I keep you safe? And so I could neglect my own feminine energy.
Hello and welcome to episode 19 of Who on Earth. This one, part 2 of my conversation with the wellness facilitator, Leo Oppenheim. So part 1, that's over in episode 18. If you've not caught it yet, it might be best if you go check that out first before watching episode 19. Now, Leo in the last one, you'll remember if you've seen it, he's a waterfall of wisdom. Everything's just so insightful that he says that I felt it was really important to give everyone a chance to digest it, give that notepad and pen a rest, pick it back up for part 2, where this one he's talking more about breathwork, the cold water dipping, releasing his emotional blocks, and also empowering himself through embracing the feminine energy that's within him. So there's loads more, obviously it's Leo, but there's a little snippet. Now, with this, there's also the little space for you to know that I am Meditation with Michael, and if you are suffering with something, it could be like anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts, whatever it is, I've been there. Meditation for me was the panacea. It's why I chose it to be my practice above all else. So one-to-ones, classes at the Resonance Centre every Monday, which I also record if you can't make it. They're available for up to a month. And floating meditation journeys, the next one on the 25th of May. If that's passed, there'll be another one, but this one is Tree of Life. That's where we're tapping into the Tree of Life so we can merge with the consciousness of the plants, the trees, the fungi, help us touch the inner part of ourselves by getting in touch with nature. So I'd love to have you down for the floating meditation journeys with the cacao and the breath work. And also, before I hand you over to Transmute, actually, before I even do that, likes and shares, they go a long way. They're so appreciated. I want this show to grow. So if you could give it a little like now. If you're so excited you want to share it before you've even watched it, do that as well. But anything you do is appreciated, even a comment. Now, before I pass you over to Transmute, there's also a Juice and Flow retreat coming up from Transmute at the end of this month. So 31st of May to the 2nd of June, there's going to be myself doing meditation. Isabella Nutrition is going to be doing all the juicing, and the nutrition side is Juice and Flow. So there's also yoga. You remember Ursula Griffiths? If you don't, go check out her episode. She'll be doing the yoga. And Mr. Joshua Brazuki, who actually runs Transmute. It's his baby. So that's all at the end of this month. I'll put a link in the description. Now, what else is going on at Transmute?
You know how much I love me some Transmute. Well, it's a new year, so of course there's new things to tell you about. What new things, Michael? Well, about the African dance classes. Or maybe you want to be the reason for the dancers, so DJ lessons. And I can't wait for my own DJ lesson. DJ Moksha coming soon. Keep an eye out. And then we've got Jamsmute. I tell you, bring an instrument. Maybe it's even just your voice. Maybe you just want to enjoy the atmosphere, but come down to a Jamsmute and just express yourself through that sound. Now, if you might just have something as simple as a birthday or an event, something you want to host yourself, you know, you can rent the room out. It's for hire. And then they've got all the old stuff that they're doing as well. You know, the classics. We've got Mustafa doing his magical drum class with the African drumming. Or you want to take care of your fitness, we've got extreme hip hop. Or we've got the caveman group training. Trust me, they test you. And then we've got the ceremonial ecstatic dance through Arinyane, done by the incredible wizardry. And that one, the magic that he weaves, my words are pointless. You have to come and experience it. We've even got the sound baths, or if you're Ruben, a sound waterfall. And you know, I like using them hammocks as well. So we've got floating meditation journeys, hammock, meditation, music, take you on a story of epicness. If that's a word. We've even got cacao ceremony before it, and transmorphic breathwork comes in as well, just to make sure you're right in the zone before you even get in that hammock. And then we got the old stuff as well, like workshops with Art of the Cosmos. I went to the grief one where you're allowed to release through TRE or the naturopathic nutrition. Ugh, the amount of different stuff they've got going on. The only way you're actually going to know is go down to transmutestudio.co.uk and have a little look, because that's where creativity meets awareness and they both play.
One thing I want to land as well about faith that came up the other day that I thought was really, I was having a conversation and it came out, and I don't know whether I heard this or whether I've theorized it, and I think it's a little bit of both. But from an early age in Western society, we're taught about God and religion, and then we're taught about Santa Claus, right? And we're taught those alongside each other. And then at some point between the age of, I don't know, like 9 and 15 or wherever it is, we're told that Santa Claus isn't real. And at that point, there will be a part of our subconscious mind that also goes, oh, well, God isn't real either. There's an untangible thing that you've been telling me about for about the same amount of time.
I can't trust you anymore.
I can't trust that anymore. And that takes us away from faith. And, faith is a spiritual practice. And for me, I think religions and yoga and all of these different things, they're vehicles to connect us to our deeper inner self and our deeper inner knowing that connects to everyone and everything. But our society disconnects us from that. It then disconnects us from the feminine energy. And a lot of it is scientific, structured, intellectual. It's all of the masculine energies. And then, of course, we lose faith. And then, of course, we're disconnected from nature. And when we're disconnected from nature, we don't mind if nature is being destroyed because we're not connected.
So I'm mindful of all the things that you've been telling people that you're passionate about, that you believe in. Can you give us a bit of an insight into maybe a few moments in your life where you have been really struggling and how these then come into play and help you out of it? Maybe some sort of obstacle, low moment, whatever it is. Because it's about who you are and it's not just all the positive.
Yeah, beautiful question. Okay, so my mum leaving when I was like 13, 14. I got back from school one day and she rang and said, I've left home. She was living about an hour away then, but it was quite a sudden shock.
Okay.
And I definitely neglected my process of that in favor of hoping that she was okay, looking after her wants and needs, thinking about her wants and needs, and then smoking a lot of pot, which I believe marijuana, when we smoke it in abundance, it disconnects us from our heart and it shields us from our emotions because they're painful. And I believe that's what I was doing. And also even the weight training I was talking about, I believe it was that. And then that, what was interesting with that is when my mum left, that's when I started having close female friends. And what's interesting now is actually I find it a lot easier to have close female friends than I do male friends. And I've realised that I've worked quite a lot into my mother wound on my journey, but I've got a lot of work to do still within my father wound. So that was a difficult process. I really put all my energy into skating then. But what I was doing was, if I was sad, I'd go and destroy myself at a skate park. I'd go and find a trick that was outside of my remit and I'd repeatedly try it until I got it, and I would smash myself to pieces.
Don't feel that sadness.
And I realized that I was shielding myself from my sadness and my emotional layer and all in the physical, so that I didn't have to feel hurt in that way. I didn't have to feel the hurt emotionally, so I'd shield it with feeling hurt physically. And then all the adrenaline and the validation that came from it.
Yeah.
Now, I only really started actually really, I would say, dropping into my emotional layer properly when I did my first yoga teacher training. And the first 3 days we did were basically trauma therapy. We did an Osho dynamic. We did Katie Byram's The Work, which if you haven't done that before, it's an amazing tool that I've done on a few different trainings. And their whole purpose was, we want you to see who you are within and where your wounds are. And then we want you to facilitate as yoga teachers from a place of truth and authenticity, not having a yoga hat. So, but that whole process of disconnecting, I feel, from the feminine and trying to reconnect with it. But, I had friends that were women and but it was interesting, those female friends that I had, I think I mirrored how I was with my mum, where I'd really care for them, really look after them, really want them to be okay, always advising them, always kind of going, how can I keep you safe? And so I could neglect my own feminine energy. Now, really only in the last, I would say 3 years, I've really connected to the feminine energy. And I think it was from the cold water a lot first.
Let's bring the cold water in then.
Yeah.
How did that help?
So the cold water, it's interesting that as a practice, people, yes, there's this way of doing it in a really yang, masculine way, and we'll do this powerful breath work, and then we'll get in the water, and after and all of that, beautiful. But for me, the times where I see people struggle with cold water the most, and the times where I am looking at that person as their petrified inner child self, and I literally see that 8-year-old self within them, are when they're the massive strong guys with all of the tattoos that come with this expectation of what they're going to do, and they drop into the water with that control energy.
I'm going to master this.
I'm going to master this. And if you go into the cold water with that energy, it will kick your ass. Like, it will kick your ass. Like, no doubt about it. And you will have that initial period of deep struggle. And I found, I started doing the cold water and I really enjoyed it. But what I've really found, I went to a guy called Kevin at a reservoir in Whaley Bridge. What was it called now? It'll come back to me. But he's a beautiful guy. Breathvolution. He's doing beautiful work within breath.
Breathvolution.
Yeah, he's great. But he showed me this breath and cold water. Then I went away with my partner at the time. She was quite a bougie character. She was lovely. But we went to the Maldives for a few weeks. And then I came back from there and went, right, I'm going to drop into this cold water. And I started going every morning. And then lockdown happened. But I still went every morning. So what I would do is on Google Earth the night before, I'd look at the satellites and the maps, and I'd find a reservoir that looked interesting and look for an access point and look for a parking space, and then I'd go. And then my friend David Seed, who does all the breath and cold water at the farm club, he started coming because his partner Naima said to him and messaged me and said, look, my partner's been doing cold showers, he wants to come. And then our friend Ash Marin, who's a professional boxer, started coming with us. So we had this, and we were getting up before the sun came up. We were getting up before anyone could be going, oh no, what are you doing now? We were there at sunrise doing it. And we had some beautiful connection of brotherhood there, but also a lot of the softer energy. We actually had a lot of emotional processes. I remember Ash getting in the car one day and saying to me, like, I've pushed my partner away again. I can't receive from her. I can't receive love from her. And I remember us going into the water. We did the breath and cold water, and we went into the water. And this guy was 21 at the time, and he taught me so much with his open-hearted vulnerability there. We had the most open, vulnerable conversation in that car. And then we got into the water, and I could see him there. And I said, you're okay. You're all right. You can let go. And he cried in the water, and we all embraced each other. It was a beautiful moment of brotherhood.
It's a phrase that my partner says, it's okay to relax. That's her way. Rather, every time we find that I'm going down this path of resisting and it's causing her stress or whatever, rather than her battering me and me battering myself, it's okay. That's all it ever was.
Yeah. And that's it. And I believe the water is a yin energy. I believe it is a feminine energy. I really do. And if you look at the yin and yang elements, the yang is the fire, the masculine, the structure, the earth. Yeah. And the yin is the fluidity, the adaptability, the faith, the flow, the letting go of control. And actually now when I facilitate the breath and cold water, we do dynamic breath work. When we drop into the water though, I completely drop into my yin facilitator mode. I might let go of
Well, that's what I loved about your process. Every time I'd got in the water before we did the sober social walk and you were doing that with the cold water, it was always, I can do this. I can do this. And then you were like, just sensation, allow it, embrace it, bring in that softness, bring in that feminine. And then all of a sudden, 10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was probably one of the colder waters that I've been in.
And it was freezing cold, that water that day. It was a very cold body of water, and it was wasn't it like October? No, you know what? Actually, no. It was about a year ago, about a week ago.
It was cold. I can tell you that.
It was in January because it popped up on my feed as this was a year ago when me and David were drumming and singing the song about Farise's dog. I don't know if you saw that.
The Lima.
Yeah. We're singing a very weird song.
I love that dog.
I love that. She just lives across there. She's beautiful. Sid loves her too.
Sid's Leo's dog that's been patiently waiting for us.
He's beautiful. He's super relaxed. When everyone's in the yin energy, he can be in it too.
So let's just, the breath work.
Yes.
I know that's a massive thing. You started with it. So we've gone from doing the acro yoga. We've spoken about the barefoot in it. Now we've spoken about bringing in the feminine energy with the breath. What else is there with the breath that we can bring in? That's on your journey, because you've said how the cold water and the breath was helping you with the mother.
So I'll give a little timeline actually.
Yeah,
with
please
this
do.
Then. Yeah, and we should talk as well more about some struggles that I've had, because I feel like
I think it's important.
Yeah,
we can get stuck in this. I want to share this with everyone, but this is the point of Who on Earth is person centered.
Yeah, so I'll give a little timeline then with where I've been, and then I'll come back to a story that was one of struggle. So obviously the skating, doing the skating thing, having the roller discos, the PTing, the youth fitness instructing. I was then a squash coach as well. I was then a slacklining and balance boarding teacher as well. I was then teaching fitness for a squash club as well and their professional teams. And then I started working at Block. And I was doing the fitness and yoga when Block first opened, and I headhunted the team for a year. But then obviously all of this stuff with the cold water came in, and with the cold water there was always breath at the start, and I started, obviously David and Ash started coming, and then I realized that I was allowed to do outdoor volunteering for 15 people over lockdown.
Okay.
It was actually legal if it was mental health related to do outdoor volunteer work for up to 15 people. And so I was putting up time lapses of these breath going out into the lake, and there was a couple of people that were a bit upset about it, but then a lot of people go, where are you doing this? And they were all people who were coming to Block or people I knew before, and I just started inviting everyone. That is now a group of 450 people called the Reservoir Dogs, by the way. So,
I like the Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah, well, my older brother came up with that, but doing that breath, and then I was like, okay, well, I'll lead the breath. I know how to teach pranayama. I'll lead the breath. It's informal. No one's paying for these sessions. It's going to help them get into the water, because when you breathe before you get in the water, it puts the body in fight or flight, but it clears the mind out. And so what happens is it lowers the shock response of you going into the water.
Okay.
If you're very, very calm. This is why a lot of these kids die in the summer, because they're very calm. They jump into a water and then they go under the surface and hit the cold, and that switch from rest and digest straight to fight or flight puts the body into shock. And so when you do the breath like we do, it has a lot of benefits, but one of the things when it's in those short Wim Hof styles, it puts the body into fight or flight, and then that lowers the shock response to the water. So anyway, I started facilitating the breath, and of course I've been facilitating pranayama with music and stuff before, so I thought, well, I'll put some music on and I'll start putting a bit of rhythm into it. And then I was like, I want to do a breath training. We're over lockdown. There's something to this. And this breath training in Ikaria popped up, and Ikaria is the number one blue zone in the world. It always goes 1 and 2 between that and a mountainous region in Japan, I think.
Okay.
And basically, over lockdown, I somehow managed to end up doing a month-long breathwork training with a tantra school alongside a tantra training, where the Icarian government gave this school permission to lock us down for 10 days in this facility where we were doing the training. And they basically, at the airport, did tests on us and, to make sure we didn't have COVID. Then 5 days in, they came and tested us again. And then on the 10th day, they came and tested us again, and we were all clear. We were allowed to go out and integrate, because I don't think anyone in Ikaria had COVID at the time, because it's a very small island. And so I got to do this breath training and drop into the holotropic breathing. Now, the short stints of breath are amazing for cold water. They're powerful. The long stints of breathing, the holotropic breathing, the shamanic breath, all of these different lineages, because holotropic breathing is a shamanic practice.
Well, I've done the shamanic with, Levi Banner.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, like, roars are coming out of me and all this stuff. I didn't know I'd even had hell. Bloody, it's difficult.
Yeah, well, Levi Banner, actually, he trademarked shamanic breathing, which I didn't realize a little while back. And then I found out that that's his school and his style of breathing. But for me, the breath has been a shamanic practice, and it's been around since, shamanism is the origin of all religions. If you look at the religious family tree, it all comes back to shamanism, and they were utilizing the breath. And Stanis Grof, who really brought holotropic breathing back into the forefront, he was doing deep trauma therapy with people using LSD. Incidentally, back looping to LSD again. Love that tangent. But he... when LSD got banned, because obviously there was the 60s, everyone had that freedom of revolution of the mind, and then obviously it was
the government went, we'll have less of that, thank you.
Yeah, and it was also, I think it was pretty raucous and chaotic, but
I don't think it was done
It wasn't. It was being doing recreation.
There was no wisdom. This whole put it all in the water system and everything will be fine. No, you need your meditation practice, your yogic practice, your breathwork practices, your purpose, and all that. That's your anchor. Bloody hell. Otherwise, good luck.
Otherwise,
re-traumatizing yourself.
100%. And he, Stanis Grof was using LSD in these calm, safe, trauma-informed environments and working into people's landscape and having really massive shifts and changes, which is no surprise to me because that basically happened to me. I feel I didn't do it the way he did it.
Yours was serendipitous.
It was serendipitous for sure. But then it got banned. And he moved into holotropic breathing because he realized it had a similar effect in terms of trauma. And these, these hour, 2 hour, 3 hour long sessions. I mean, I know you mentioned Craig. Craig is an amazing facilitator.
Episode 2, for those who haven't seen Craig Seaton's, fantastic.
Give him a listen. He's incredible, but also he's facilitating breath in Manchester. And at Block, we currently have Craig Seaton, we have Grace Goldsmith, and we have Nigel Meadows, all facilitating breath. There's 3 breath classes a week on the schedule. If you've never done a breath class before, get to one because it is incredibly impactful, especially when it's facilitated. And back to this whole thing of feeling safe, me and Craig, we were facilitating a lot of different festivals together, and the feedback that we were getting, that we did one at Lost Village for 80 people, and there was 2 people sat well outside of the tent on a big distance away. And after the session, when they came over to us and they said, you know what, we weren't even in that session and we were sat over there, we felt so safe. And that
energy spills out then, doesn't it?
Yeah. And me and Craig, that's our intention. That was always our intention. That's the fundamental. If you are facilitating plant medicine or a breathwork practice, it's cultivating safe space, because I'm not fixing or healing anyone in any of the modalities I do. And I don't even believe that people are fixing or healing themselves. And I think that is a misinterpretation of the spiritual journey or the yoga practice. People go, oh, I need to fix myself. I need to do this. I believe that when we are doing all of these practices, what we are doing is shedding the illusions and unraveling the identities that we have that disconnect us from the singularity.
Well, that's, like I told you, I'm doing the Eternal Sands of Egypt, a quest for immortality. I'm not going to give it away because I'd love people to come down and experience that, transmute, or wherever I'm doing it.
Is this in the hammocks as well?
This is in the floating meditation.
Come on, get to that.
You don't even need me, do you?
No, but with you.
But without giving it away, a lot of it is around coming back to that part of you that you were just mentioning. And there is nothing to fix. No. You're not broken.
Yeah. You're a whole human being. Like just now in this moment, I want you to know you are already a whole human being. You are not right, wrong, good, bad, above or below. But what we can do is when we unravel the illusion and we come back to our center and we come back to ourselves, that's when we find alignment, and that's when our purpose and truth can be clear. When we are in illusion and looking outside of ourselves and listening to everyone and everything else for direction, we lose that truth within us and that center. And everything is within you. All your peace and equanimity, all your bliss, all your joy. It might be underneath layers, but it is a breath away. It is a pause away. And so much of it is your judgment of yourself. If you start to relinquish the judgment of yourself and you start to relinquish the judgment of others, because that's intrinsically related. If you are judging yourself, you are projecting that into the world and judging others. If you are judging others and projecting that out into the world, you are also judging yourself. The world around you is a mirror for your inner landscape. When you start to dissolve the illusion of these judgments, and I believe this is the intellectual mind. I believe our evolution as human beings, animals use their instincts for survival. As human beings, we've got a beautiful mind, but it became our survival mechanism all of a sudden. And then what's happened is our survival instinct of the intellectual mind is just trying to keep us safe. Okay,
it's not an enemy.
It's not and it is not, and that's something I really want to learn as well. Thank you for that, Michael, because it's not. But our intellectual mind, in its base level programming, looks around, it goes, that's safe, that's unsafe, that's safe, that's unsafe, and it starts to make decisions on what is safe and unsafe based on previous experience. What it then does, though, is it compartmentalizes people and goes, you are dressed like this, so you fit into this box.
You remind me of those from the past.
Yeah.
The pattern is they lead to this future. Yeah. I don't want that, so I will now whatever you...
And that's an illusion, right? And that is an expectation that is the thief of joy, that steals your joy and also steals your ability to really see someone in their presence. And for me, the most traumatized people that someone would say, they're a mass murderer, a killer, all of this, Look at their experiences. Look at their what's led them to that point.
Don't be lazy. What's behind it all?
Yeah. And what is always often behind it all is deep trauma.
Victims create victims, they say, don't they? I mean, that's why I'm doing this show. Someone could just say, oh, I've seen yoga people. I've seen those breathwork people. I've seen those people who barefoot in it.
Yeah.
That's Leo then.
Yeah.
And that's not for me. And I'm hoping by just sharing who you are, I know we can't sum up who Leo is in an hour or two, but let's give them a bit of an insight. Oh, I can relate with so much. I had a drug issue. Oh, I had that. My mum left me. And I used to have a scattered mind. Oh, but there's ways out. Not even ways out. There's ways to process.
I love that. There's ways in. There's ways into all of it. There's ways into all of this process. There's ways into to feeling it all, embracing it all, embracing all of the facets of your nature, embracing the full tapestry of your emotions, observing the being curious and childlike and playful with the thoughts of your mind.
Curious energy it's a game changer. I'm not solving a problem.
No,
it's not judgmental analysis, an analytical mind that comes in.
Yeah,
it's playful.
Yeah.
What is it?
Yeah.
What is this sensation? Josh said it. We were doing a ceremony after the Nourish to Flourish retreat, and it was like I was getting spanked by the mushrooms. I was getting spanked for a good reason.
Yeah,
and I learned that. But he said everything that you're resisting right now, all these feelings that you're struggling, are sensations within you. So what are they then? They're you.
Yeah,
You're scared of yourself.
Yeah,
right. How do we remove fear? We give it our full attention so we can fully understand it. These are just parts of you that are misunderstood right now.
Parts of you that you have neglected and abandoned. I have a friend that I've been speaking to a lot recently. Beautiful woman in London called Tilda, and we were talking a lot, and she was saying to me how she was really disconnected from herself, and she felt like she was abandoning herself. And she's not a yoga facilitator or, she's a bit of a practitioner, but she started putting up pictures of her child self all around, and I think unconsciously called her inner child back, and then started seeing her inner child holding her hand and things, and it completely changed the way she was being in the world, and she stopped abandoning herself. And I really believe one of the big things I always listen to in myself, I go, where am I abandoning myself? Where am I abandoning myself is one of the things, and not from a place of judgment, because this is the trap, I think, in the spiritual world and the wellness world. We observe things within ourselves and then we judge those parts of ourselves.
How do I fix that then?
Yeah, whereas actually the magic is the fact that you have observed. Celebrate the fact that you have observed. Through neuroplasticity, you can create anything new. You can alchemize and change things, but that isn't going to happen straight away. Celebrate the fact that you've stopped and watched, rather than notice when that judgment comes in. Switch that. You have cultivated present moment awareness within yourself. That presence.
That's all you need
over anything else.
Like I was telling you about the Vipassana, and I know you said you're interested in doing that. So a little insight is all really Vipassana is being fully present with sensation, and you go through Anapana. So Anapana is to sharpen the mind, just watching the breath in, just watching it out, not regulating. I understand regulation is important and stimulation is important, but this is the most powerful breath. Watch it in through the nose, watch it out. Just this area, just the nostril, just the cavity there, and then just a bit. Because what you're doing is you're sharpening the mind so that you can then go deeper into the psyche, and it's all held within the body. So it's held within sensation. Sensation arose, you couldn't process. It was too uncomfortable for you at the time. So you pushed it down. So where there's a numbness, that's a part of you are unwilling to feel on an unconscious level. Where there's growth, that's where there's been a blockage, and therefore the energy, the matter is accumulated, it's become dense, it's become heavy, it feels burdensome. And the bits that are prickly, the little fizzy bits, the gloopy bits, they're the bits that are a bit more, they're running as they should be, you might say. So all you actually need to do, and the way the Buddhists teach it is, it's like a knot, and you've got so tight. And when it's almost like those toys where you
and then wound tight.
Your attention is all that's needed, because that love and awareness will then process, because that just needed to be processed in the moment. You couldn't at the time. So now just witness. Don't try and do anything. Don't fix. Don't control. None of that need to energy. Just witness. Full attention is full acceptance. Full acceptance is full love. And that, exactly like you said, allows it to untether.
Yeah.
And then that's it. Just all you have to do is watch.
Beautiful.
So I'm mindful of time. I think we've got about 20 minutes, 30 minutes left.
Okay, amazing.
Is there any things that are important to your story that you feel we haven't touched upon?
Yeah, so I broke my ankle when I was 18, maybe 19 actually. Can I feed him?
Would you like to pause it?
Yeah, can we pause
Yeah,
just for a
of course.
sec?
Are you tired of feeling run down? Maybe you're struggling with some sort of health condition, or it could be as simple as you're not reaching your fullest potential. Well, I found a solution. Isabella Nutrition's here to transform your life, show you the incredible healing power of nature. Let me just introduce to you Isabella Bradford Johnson, a skilled naturopathic nutritionist with a passion for showing you how to achieve optimum health, well-being, with tailor-made nutrition and lifestyle plans. She'll show you how to fill your life with vitality, renewed energy. Now, Isabella firmly believes that your body holds the key to your healing. She just wants to show you how to unlock it. Through the power of lifestyle and diet changes, Isabella will show you how to heal from within. Be that best version of yourself. Now, whether you're looking to improve your overall health or target a specific area, maybe it's gut or hormonal issues where she specialises, Isabella will have expert guidance and support to show you how to have a future filled with joy. Now, it's not about quick fixes, short-term solutions. No, it's about long-term transformation, sustainable results. So stop waiting to take care of your health. Go down to www.isabellabradfordjohnsonnutritionist.uk. Book a consultation with Isabella today. Embark on a journey filled with health, vitality, lasting well-being. Isabella Nutrition, empowering you to live your healthiest life.
Okay, we just had a moment just to feed Leo's dog, Sid.
He was giving us some background whining, so had to service the hound, who incidentally I'm actually giving him back to my ex on Sunday when I go to India, which is, wow, yeah, practice of aparigraha, that non-attachment. I deeply love that dog. He's like my son, and I think I may well get joint custody of him when I come back in December now, which wasn't supposed to be happening before, so I'm really happy about that. But oof, yeah, that's a big practice of letting go.
Well, you came to Nikki's New Year party and left before the
Yeah,
fireworks, didn't you? Because
yeah.
that's how important. That's one thing I'd like to touch on. These beings we share the planet with are no less than we are.
No, not at all. He may as well be my son, that dog. I've been with him for 7 years. He's taught me so much. When I came back, incidentally, as I walked into the building, someone let off a massive firework at the height of this window.
Of course it did.
And I came back and he'd been to the toilet here. He was whining, he was crying, he was deeply, deeply upset, actually. And it was weird. It was almost like my intuition called me back there, because I know he will have been fine before that. So yeah, but back to...
So you've broken your ankle?
I've broken my ankle. So I snapped it skateboarding. I rolled it over. I thought it was going to be a really bad sprain. I drove to the hospital on it, and then the guy in the hospital told me I'd completely separated my foot from my ankle. I'd cracked I think it was my femur up the middle and split it, almost like splitting a tree trunk. And I had a plate and 7 screws in it. And after they'd done the operation, one of the doctors, always believe the diagnosis, never believe the prognosis, is what I would say about this. They said, you're never going to be able to run again and you'll walk with a limp. And that was difficult, losing my physicality, which was the vehicle that I found a lot of my joy from. But then I started doing lots of fun stuff on my crutches and doing kind of holds on my crutches and inversions, and it's probably the first thing that got me into calisthenics, actually. And then I cut my cast off 2 months earlier. I remember my middle brother coming upstairs and I was sawing off my cast with one of those little mini hacksaws. He said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm taking this off, it's time." And I put my skates on, and I wasn't doing any fancy tricks. I just went, if I skate around in this, it's supported, it's going to build the strength up. My first physio session, I was told, you don't need any physio, your ankle's fully healed. And I could immediately run. So, yeah, and that was me, again, listening to my intuition.
And how was that for you then? Just on a deeper level to actually see that, trusting your own intuition.
Deeply empowering, but, really, actually, that was probably one of my first, that's interesting, because that was before the roller discos. That was probably before me going, I'm going to be a professor. That was probably one of the first times that I really trusted my intuition. And I did something that everyone would say don't do, i.e., don't become a professional rollerblader, i.e., you have to wear shoes in society. All of these different things that we're told. Also, incidentally, the current iteration of myself has the identity of I'm Leo Oppenheim, I'm a yoga breathwork facilitator, I was head of yoga at Block for 7 months, managing 4 studios. I do retreats and festivals internationally. I understand that this is all an idea, and I'm really looking forward to Sunday when I go to India for a year, dissolving that identity once again of myself, because I'm none of those things.
Do you know, it's actually quite fun when you start embracing it.
Yeah.
You start realising how limitless you are.
Limitless.
The potential,
Yeah.
it's not got this cap on it.
No.
And do you know, why should, apart from obviously I understand the ego needs to have sort of this understanding of, like, this is safe, this isn't, like, that's a defensive mechanism, but we are not those primal beings anymore. We can observe and go, actually, I've got some new information.
We're not being chased by tigers. We're not being chased by lions and tigers.
The tribe's not after, even this, something we can all struggle with so much, of not being accepted by the tribe, not being good enough for the tribe. Well, that's because there used to be only 150, 200 of us. We needed each other.
Yeah.
It's 9 bloody billion of us.
Yeah.
It's okay. We're connected.
Yeah.
Be yourself. You'll attract, even if you only attract 200 people who are like you, it's better than attracting 1 million who are not,
and that's where you're abandoning yourself.
Exactly. You do never abandon yourself. Never.
That's the biggest thing for me. And actually, it's interesting, the last year I've had an ups and downs and some struggles being non-monogamous, incidentally. I used to be in cyclical patterns of relationships, again, coming back to my mum leaving, my relationships with the feminine and me always wanting to support and make sure they were safe. But I would always abandon myself. I would always abandon my wants and needs and my requirements and the things that my inner child needed to be safe or wanted to be safe. And I then came out of a relationship about a year ago, and for the first time I was like, okay, I'm going to try something different here. And it's been amazing, but it's been fraught with chaos at points of this having communication. Because for me, now I don't know if I'm ethically non-monogamous, monogamous. I have no idea what my relationship parameters are anymore. But beforehand, I was monogamous, and I would put the parameters of I'm doing this and I am in this relationship. And for me, I feel like I was basing my relationships on the patterns and structures that society tells me I should have. And then my partners were identifying with that as well. And we were going along through the process of A, B, C, D as expectations rather than conscious conversation and really, really communicating.
Well, isn't that what a partnership's about? Helping each other to become more conscious, not just pleasing each other. And when they aren't in a space to please you and fill a gap you weren't filling for yourself, well, let's attack them until they go back to that state. No, let's just see how we can help each other grow.
Yeah, exactly. And what I was doing in all of my relationships, and it's definitely not even the fault of my partners. What I was doing, I was getting in a relationship, giving everything to that person, putting them on a pedestal, giving them all of the love and compassion and affection, and abandoning myself. And they would get used to that dynamic of the relationship. And this would also allow me not to receive. So this was another way of me denying myself receiving. And also kind of being in control, right? Because when you're giving to someone and you're supporting someone,
on your terms.
It's on your terms, right? And so that was happening in cyclical patterns. And then what would happen often 3/4 of a year, and I'd go, this person isn't making me happy. They're not making me happy. They're not doing A, B, C. When it was, no, it's nothing to do with that person. You have made yourself unhappy by abandoning yourself. And so the last year has been a bit of a journey of me going, how can I not abandon myself? And how can I have connection? Because I really value connection.
Well, because then it's a purer connection, I find, as well. It's not this manipulative seeking something from them. It's just witnessing them.
You're witnessing
witnessing this other version of yourself that's manifested in this material realm.
Yes. How
beautiful are they, even in their darkest moments, even in their triggering moments. Well, do you know what? I've been there for myself. I can hold them as well.
That's beauty.
And that allows them to have space to then breathe.
I'm not being judged. I feel safe here. But incidentally, a lot of these parameters around relationships, they're what creates a lot of false safety, I feel.
Okay.
where it's like, okay, well, I'm in a partnership with this person now, so this means A, B, and C. Whereas that safety isn't being created by full communication, full transparency, full authenticity, maybe. Or it wasn't for me. It definitely will be with some people. But for me, the relationships I was in, I was not in alignment. I was abandoning myself. And as a result, I wasn't clearly communicating my wants and needs. And it's been a really interesting journey with that. But I really, like, I can't have, one of the other times a voice in my head came up was when I was 21 and I was sleeping with lots of people. And my friends around me at the time thought it was amazing, were asking me questions about it all the time. And my ego was being entertained by that and dropping into that space of being validated. And I remember leaving someone's house. I was sleeping with a few different people. And I left someone's house, and the voice in my head that has come up a few different times in my life said, "You've never been so alone." And it was right. I had never been so alone in my life. I had these friends that were, you know, celebrating and championing me being successful with the feminine, and that, you know, in itself is an illusion. It's like
it's almost like that boyish psychology, that
the hunting, the predatory nature of almost being I'm hunting, and, you know, I'm achieving this, and it's a trophy thing, and it's complete illusion and complete toxic masculinity. And, you know, I was in that for sure. Now, in the last year, I would not have a physical connection with somebody unless it was energetically or emotionally there. I don't have physical connections with people unless I feel energetically and emotionally aligned with them. And it's been an interesting journey. It's gone a few places, you know, it's gone beautiful places. It's been chaotic at times. It's illuminated things within me where I was out of alignment. And there was a couple of times where I felt, you know, and what it did then, really interestingly, when you are, I thought that was my identity then. Oh, I'm ethically non-monogamous. And a few situations mirrored each other. Two different situations perfectly mirrored each other where I got a lot of anger put towards me. And it was showing me, I really feel it was showing me that I'd created this identity of being ethically non-monogamous, and that had become an identity. And this was the universe giving me the opportunity to smash that identity away. And I was lucky enough to go on facilitate on a men's retreat in Tuscany with a guy called Mark Mabon, who's an incredible constellations therapist and internal family systems therapist.
IFS for sure, it's powerful.
He's amazing, and I got to see the power of that. But I got to do all of the men's work outside of when I was facilitating breath and yoga, and it was at that time, and it was perfectly timed because it was really, you know, I really received that at that time, and it was really not required, but I think I was a bit lost then, and it couldn't have landed at a more perfect moment. And what's interesting is I have struggled previously with my connection with the masculine, and the kind of men that I connect with normally are the ones that are a bit more in their feminine energy or able to express or talk about their emotions. And that was a real healing process, being in a group of men. I'd been doing loads of retreats and festivals. Yeah. And actually, that was the retreat that I was looking forward to the least, facilitating on. I was like, oh, great, it's in Tuscany. But I was like, oh, I'm not sure, you know. You know, I'd done some men's work before, facilitated alongside it and done a little bit. But I was like, oh, you know, it's going to be quite intense and heavy. It was the most beautiful, liberating thing. And being that brotherhood, you know, we still all talk on WhatsApp. We've got a WhatsApp group. We still FaceTime each other in a big group once a month there. Mark's setting up a little session for all of them as well. And being a part of that brotherhood was really beautiful. And it's made me realise that my father wound is something that I'm really going to start working into now, because we get, I think as men, we get to the mother wound, the mother wound, the mother wound. And I've worked a lot into the mother wound, but I'm in my yin energy now. But then it's my connection with my father and my father wound and the masculine energy that is my work, and I feel the thing that I want to drop into in India.
I mean, for me, it's I'm reading a book and they're talking a lot about there's no ritualized way of allowing a boy to sort of go into his manhood, and therefore it's men but acting from boy energy, from this patriarchal energy. The masculine has been almost vilified even by the men.
Totally. And you know what, actually, and you see it a lot in where it's not done purposefully, but I've seen it a lot with slightly unconscious sister circles where, you know, they're beautiful facilitators, but they have a wounding within them. And then the sister circle becomes about empowering the feminine, which is beautiful. And I'm a feminist, and I've been the partner that I was with when I had Sid, she was a feminist, and she taught me all about feminism, and I really embraced it because I think it's beautiful and powerful. And I feel, again, the feminine energy in society is denied to us as a society, but it's also women are disempowered in society. Even how society advertises menstrual cycles and gets women to be ashamed of their deepest power, how it advertises blood as being blue in all of these things because it has to be sanitized, whereas actually, like, in previous civilizations, witches would go into womb circles, they would bleed on the earth. They knew that it's their deepest power that a woman has, is their power of creation. It is unfathomably powerful.
Well, it's not by accident that these things have been vilified, is it now?
No, it isn't. And then what happens then as a result is, if you look at the general way that society works, when people are polarized, they are weakened. You know, even in the COVID stuff with the anti-vaxxers and the way that came about, you know, as far as I'm concerned, people can have autonomy. I never have any judgment, right or wrong, good, bad, above or below. But to call somebody an anti-vaxxer because they've not taken the vaccine, that implies that they are against the people that have taken the vaccine.
Well, it's that whole divide and conquer.
Divide and conquer. And the feminine energy has been denied in society, and it's been denied there. And I've dropped definitely a lot into the feminine side of things now, but the brotherhood side of things, yes, when it is that boy energy, but when it is a powerful brotherhood that are consciously articulating their emotions and being vulnerable, but then also cultivating that powerful tribal energy and actually dropping into that from a place that is not performative, that is not histrionic.
It's not the big ape trying to show everybody else that they're the boss man.
No, it's in deep love. It's the balance of
It's the chief. It's the caring chief that cares about the society in front of him. Will hold them, will protect them, wants to nourish them, wants to empower them. People who are trying to unempower you.
Yeah, disempower. Yeah,
disempower. That's it. Yeah. They're just scared. They're just scared. They're scared of the women. They're scared of the men. They're scared of everyone. So what can I do to disconnect them? What can I do to disempower them?
Fear creates control. People that want to control, when you come back to the root of it all, or societies that want to control, it's a scarcity and a fear. And it's a fear of resources being taken away. And a lot of it, I believe, comes back to the intellectual mind and the programming of the intellectual mind. And don't get me wrong, the intellectual mind is a beautiful thing. It creates so much. And, you know, again, I was talking about technology earlier. I love how technology has given me a platform to meet people, connect with people, articulate with people. Actually, technology, when it's used consciously and mindfully, is a beautiful...
It's allowing us to do this right now.
We're sat here surrounded by this technology, which has incidentally cultivated a conversation that is nourishing me so much, and I can feel the vibrancy and the energy of this conversation. This wouldn't be happening without the technology. And again, this comes back to that non-judgment principle. I see things and I witness them. I observe whether they're in alignment with me or not. If they're intuitively not in alignment with me, for instance, this is how I see relationships with people, with every person. I see my connection to people as a sound wave and a vibration. I believe that my connection with someone is a collective connection. It's not me doing something or you doing something. It's either harmonious or dissonant or somewhere in between, right? If I feel that a connection is dissonant with someone, I have the opportunity to potentially make it harmonious again by speaking my truth, right? By standing authentically in my truth and not saying you've done this, no non-violent communication. This is how it feels right now. Our connection as a collective, not you doing this, feels this way. Let's speak about it. If there's a conscious conversation, often it clears that dissonance and that becomes a harmonious relationship again. If that isn't met, it does not mean that that is a bad person. It does not mean I'm better or worse than that person. That person is not able to receive that because the signal or the vibration is supposed to be dissonant at that point. It's there to be dissonant to two things: to show me what my truth is and to allow me to articulate my truth bravely, even in the face of potentially losing a connection.
No matter what their response is.
Yeah, I don't believe we lose connections. I believe there, say for instance, if I'm not met, I'm standing in my truth and I'm not met. I give that person the opportunity to have harmony with other people and allow harmony to come in for myself. I'm not wanting anything bad from them. In fact, I'm hoping that they have beautiful connection with other people, and it's that mindset. I had it this year as an example, coming back to the non-monogamy side of things, where I remember there was a beautiful connection I had with this woman, and it was really lovely, and I could feel the energy of this connection. And she was sat here actually, and we had a conversation, and I really tried to go, right, I am not going to have physical connections with people until they know I'm non-monogamous, because I want them to have a choice. I don't want them to have a physical connection with me and then me go, oh yeah, I'm non-monogamous, and then feel like they've somehow, things haven't
been misled.
Been misled, and there's not been clarity. Because I am actually, you know, if I have a connection with someone, I am very loving and caring and affectionate, so it could easily be misled in that way. Which I'm not sure what that is now. That's all gone out the window. But at the time, I was ethically non-monogamous. Even the term makes me laugh. I was ethically non-monogamous, and I had this conversation with this beautiful woman sat just there, and there was all the chemistry, and you could see it was coming together. And I told her from an authentic place of truth that I was ethically non-monogamous, that this is where I was at, and we had a conversation about it. And all of her walls came up, and she friend-zoned me immediately at that point. And that was one of the most beautiful conversations I've ever had, because it was one of the first times that I had not abandoned myself, that the connection that I was hoping for had completely dropped away, and that I felt very happy and deeply empowered that I'd not abandoned myself. And even though that connection had changed, I wasn't going, oh, I should have done that a different way. And I also wasn't going, why doesn't she understand this?
It was completely from your truth still.
Yeah, and she was in her truth. She was beautifully articulating her truth of that not being her constitution at the time.
And now you can have a relationship together that is based on truth.
Based on truth. And actually, we had a beautiful conversation, carried on conversing. We've spoken a fair bit since, back and forth, and there's still a beautiful connection there.
But it's a purer one, I imagine. Yeah,
it's not one of illusion or Maya, and this is what the world... You know, I've never been on dating websites, and I'm really happy about it in a way, because I feel like dating websites, it's a tricky one where it's almost like you're advertising your house and you're going, here's the beautiful painted front door, here's the shiny conservatory. These are the things I want you to see. Don't look in the basement, don't look in the cellar. Rather than
don't come at this time, that's when the neighbours are
rather than, this is who I am. This is my truth. I am unashamedly in my truth. I wear no shoes walking around the city centre. I will happily give you love. I will probably surprise you if you're someone that gets really angry and wants to shout at me, by doing my best to show you love and compassion. And it's because I'm in my truth. And if you receive that truth, beautiful, I'm all in. If you don't receive that truth, beautiful, it's not your truth. And I love you still. And I wish you all of the beauty and all of the resonance and all the harmony.
I think that's a beautiful way to start wrapping up. I know we've only got about 5, 6, 7 minutes left. Just before we do that, anything that you'd like to promote? Because I know you're going to India, but is there anything you just want to let people know, be aware of?
100%. So on my Instagram, I have a link tree. Now, I'm going to India and other countries, traveling with no agenda in, February, March. April and May, I'm then teaching on I'm facilitating on a number of different retreats. And then June, July, August, I'm traveling. And September and October, same thing, retreats, events, festivals. And November and December traveling. Now, those 2-month stints, April, May, September, October. April, May, I've got On the Land, which is a men's retreat in Tuscany. It's the one that I was talking about. I'm doing that again with Mark. It is absolutely so powerful, the work he does. I work alongside him and work on the energetic side of it. So I ask him, what are you looking for? What's the purpose of this 5 days? What are you looking to work into with the men? And with all the different modalities I facilitate, I cultivate the energy to support the work he's doing throughout that 5 days. It's in a 9,000 hectare...
It's in May, did you say?
Yeah, that's in April.
Okay.
I've then got Sky Hut in Greece, 2 of those. I've then also got Morocco. I've got basically, I think it's 6 retreats in 5 different countries in April and May.
So if we put the links to you in the description, anyone who's been vibing off what you're saying, is interested in what you're mentioning now, we'll add everything so that you can find Leo.
100%. And then September, October, same thing. I'm going to Egypt. I'm doing Wanderlust, Romania, and 2 different places over the September, October months. I'm doing Selassie Festival in Egypt. It's looking like I'm doing something in America that I can't quite talk about yet, with an incredible relationship, energetics coach, magic man called Lorin. Beautiful human. But the other thing I would love to land as well, I'm actually starting a closed WhatsApp group from Sunday, but I can add people into it. What I'm going to be doing, I have all my recording equipment with me. I'm going to be recording meditations and breathworks while I'm over in wherever I'm traveling. And once a week, this WhatsApp group, it doesn't have any conversation on it. I'm not going to be putting in conversation. I'm not going to be trying to sell anything on there or do anything like that. Once a week, I will put a meditation or a breath work in there, and I'll say, this is what this is for. This is a good way of utilizing it. A little bit of instruction. Once a week, every Sunday, I'm going to do that.
If you could pop me in that group, that'd be great.
I will be popping you in that group. And you know what? When I'm back, maybe we can do something together.
Well, that was the thing, because we met, well, we've met a few times, but we spoke at Temple Festival that just went, by the way. That was amazing. Shout out to Nikki and David and everyone who put that. It was ridiculous.
Get to Temple if you are not, even if you're not based in Manchester.
Come down. Just come down. I think the next one's March ways. If you're in Manchester, you've got no excuse.
It's like ecstatic dance, breath work, yoga, meditation,
dry bar,
sober, cacao, and just like, if you are into all of these practices, but if you're not and you're curious, you'll get a plethora of experiences,
and you can find what works for you. But the point I was making is, Leo did the breath work there, and it was amazing. I really found it powerful. But you told me, I'll tell you what, I'll come on the podcast when I come back. Yeah. And I was like, let's please find a way of getting you in now, because you're going to have a whole episode to tell.
So much more.
We don't struggle to speak as it is.
We can do a sound and meditation thing. There's fantastic. A number of different things. The other thing is as well, at the moment, I'm writing a yoga teacher training with a guy called Stuart Pilkington, who owns Yoga Life. If you've never been to Stuart Pilkington's classes, it's more based around Cheshire. Get to one. He's incredible. I'm writing a teacher training with him, a yoga teacher training, and I'm writing a breathwork training. And by the end of this year, that breathwork training will be ready, and I will be facilitating that. I've had a lot of people saying to me, where did you learn to do your breathwork? Now, I learned at Samakaruna, and that was amazing. But all of the way and the methodology that I facilitate breathwork, the foundations, they taught me the foundations, but a lot of the methodology and a lot of the techniques and the way I'm facilitating it hasn't come from anywhere apart from my sound therapy experience. Last thing, incidentally, if you want to know more about sound therapy, harmonic sounds in Alakalili, which is 40 minutes away from Spain, Alicante Airport, 40 minutes away from Alicante Airport, incredible sound therapy. I did that training for 2 weeks. We spent a week on the voice. I came back. I listened to a meditation recently from before that. My voice sounds completely different. I came back from that. All of my facilitation changed. They are incredible.
Well, you are sound. You are just atoms vibrating at a frequency.
Yes.
You are, like, we've had Ruben on the show, Ruben Yonton, and I did when I did his sound activation, I totally understood. I kind of had an idea, but there was something about experience. And then since then, like, even people who come to my classes, like, your arms are just falling, almost like spilling out of you, rather than it being forced from the throat. You are resonating with the arm. Anyway, we're going to end up doing this all day.
We can do this when I come back. We can talk more about the sound.
We'll do that for sure. And like you said, maybe we can even use technology to sort of bridge that gap at some point. But
yeah, I'm happy to do that.
I'm totally mindful now that this is part 2. And I want to give the guys, because they didn't get, people who have come into part 2 and may have missed part 1, didn't get your lovely breathwork at the start. So could we leave 100%. The guys with a bit of Leo magic, please?
Yeah, so what we can do here, we'll do a very brief little meditation for about a minute or two, and then we'll just drop into a simple practice, which is, it is basically orbit of breath. It is called, it's a Tao practice, and it's a way that you can cultivate energy within your body. Now, what we're going to be doing, I'll talk you through this now, and then we'll get into the meditation. You're going to be taking an upright seated position, and you'll be visualizing the space between your belly here. And what you're doing is exhaling and drawing all your awareness there. And then as you breathe in through the nose, I want you to visualize breath awareness and energy traveling down to your tailbone and then all the way up to the crown of the head until you're at the very top of the breath at the crown of the head. And as you exhale, visualize that energy and awareness coming down the front line of your body to the space beneath your belly. If you want here as well, you can bring the tongue behind the teeth. Okay, this supposedly creates a double loop of energy. If that's a little bit too much,
it also gets the jaw into the optimum position for breathing.
There we go. So there's a little bit more knowledge that I had no idea about. Thank you for that. Always learning. So we'll do a little meditation, and then I'll guide you through a little bit of orbit of breath. It'll be about 4 minutes, this.
And would we advise maybe closing down the eyes now, unless you're driving or operating heavy
Yeah, I
machinery?
mean, if you're driving, you can still do this meditation. You can still move energy while you're in conscious awareness, but you can drop into yourself and close the eyes. If you have the space and capacity, close down the eyes and drop your awareness within. The energetic layer is subtle. If you drop your awareness within, you will hear it. You will feel it. Let's begin. Just take this opportunity to ground, to center yourself. Spine long, shoulders soft. Maybe taking a seat here that might not be your first seat. Change it if it doesn't feel appropriate in this moment. You can prop yourself up with cushions if you like. You can sit in a chair. Once you find your seat, I invite you to commit to this in stillness. Just noticing the breath, the ebb and flow without trying to control. Before we begin this orbit of breath, I invite you to feel the contact points on the earth beneath you and visualize roots pouring down deep into the earth. Fresh neutral energy rising up through these roots, Mother Earth holding you, embracing you with her yin energy. This energy flowing up through the roots, the contact points, and up through the spine. And let the palms of the hands face up and visualize energy pouring down from the crown of the head, the space at the back of the neck, through the palms and up the arms to the space at the back of the neck, this wheel of energy, deep intuition from above, this energy pouring down the spine to meet the energy that rises, Mother Earth holding you from below, Father Ether holding you, watching over you from above, and you sit as a conduit in this very center. Take a soft and full breath in, and a clear and exhale. Draw awareness to the space beneath the belly. Take a soft and full breath in. Visualize breath and awareness coming down to the tailbone and then up to the crown of the head at the full expansion of the breath. Slowest exhalation, breath and awareness flows down the front midline all the way to the space beneath the belly. Once again, soft and full breath in. Breath loops under and up, lower back, middle back, upper back, crown of the head, full expansion of the breath. Slowest exhalation, space between the eyebrows, throat, heart, solar plexus, space beneath the belly. Soft inhale down to your root and up, lower back, middle back, upper back, crown of the head, full expansion, colour is white. Slowest exhalation between the eyebrows, indigo, throat, blue, heart, green, solar plexus, yellow, space below the belly, orange. Soft inhale, root is red, lower back, middle back, upper back, crown of the head, full clearing open mouth exhale. Back to yourself here, and back to your center. Witness the peace and equanimity that lies within you. The physical body you move, this energetic layer that you sense, the intellectual layer you hear, and the emotional layer you feel, but these are all just layers. You are the witness, you are the observer. So from this place of observation, ask yourself in this moment as you conclude this podcast, as you conclude this meditation, what am I calling in? What am I receiving from this space that I've cultivated for myself? What am I shedding, relinquishing and releasing? And we'll do this with our breath. We will release with our exhale. We will plant a seed and sankalpa with our inhalation. So take a deep and full breath in. Release what no longer serves you with an exhale. Maybe you would like to join me with an Om chant. You do not have to. Hands can be in prayer if you wish. Take a soft and full breath in for Om chant. Inhale. Breathe in the vibrations of this collective. Bow your head to your hands in honor of yourself, in honor of this collective, and in honor of this practice. Jai, victory to you and your beautiful meditations and the dropping into yourself and the time and energy you are spending on the untethering, the unraveling. You are already a whole human being. You do not require any fixing. Give yourself the love and compassion you extend out to others so freely, so beautifully. I love it. Oh my God, it brings me so much joy.
Thank you for coming on the show, brother.
Oh,
I'm so glad we managed
Michael,
to get you in.
Michael,
Thanks
it
for
is
your time.
such a joy, it's such an honor, it's a privilege. You are amazing. That conversation has just nourished me and set me up for such a powerful, empowering day. I'm actually facilitating breath at Move Festival that Joe Wicks is doing at Factory later. Just a half an hour breath session for the general public, and wow, I'm fired up now for that.
I'm glad I could help.
You did, you more than helped.
Thanks for staying with us all this way, guys. I hope you got as much out of it as we did.
Oh.
Peace and love.
Jai.
What a bloody lovely fella that Leo is, eh? I hope that conversation was as nourishing for you as it was for me. Now, I'm sure Leo is off doing some sort of retreat, some sort of workshop or event or class, so I'm going to put the links for him in the description. Go check him out. You will not be disappointed. Also, myself. So, one-to-ones. If I can do anything to help you, just alleviate that suffering that's been just making life a little bit more difficult for you, well, meditation, that's where I found the key. So I'd love to pass that on to you and empower you. There's one-to-ones. If you want to come to the floating meditation journeys, go check me out. The links will be there, even the classes which are recorded for you. And also, Transmute. Juice and Flow retreats coming up at the end of this month. Oh, I don't want you to miss it. It's going to be so nourishing. It gives the body that time to heal and the mind a little bit of a rest. And also, I'm just going to be having my birthday there on the 11th of May. So if you want to rent it out for just an event or something, I'm obviously not blagging you. I'm doing it even. I'll put the links for Transmute and also for Isabella Nutrition, who's going to be joining us on the retreat. We're blessed to have her on board, I tell you that. Now, episode 20. Bloody episode 20 is coming up. Could you believe it, eh? This one with Medea Sosin. Award-winning podcast, Soulful Awakenings with Medea Sosin, and inspirational motivational speaker. I actually deleted our original episode. I'm new. By the way, this is why I asked for likes and shares and whatever you can do to help it grow, because I'm a one-man band. I'm the camera guy, I'm the editor, and I, for some reason, deleted her episode, and it was so good. I was like, what have I done? saw her in the gym, and because she's got her own podcast, she understands we're both at the start of our journey. She's a bit more ahead, and she said, I'll come back on graciously. So, Medea Sosin, we're talking out-of-body experiences, her own soul awakenings, suffering, depression, loss of family members. Like, it's one I didn't want you to miss. She's such a fantastic person. So, that's coming up next. Check her out in the meantime. That's Soulful Awakenings with Medea Sosin podcast. And like I said, likes and shares are always appreciated. Whilst you're waiting, why not go check out someone like a Willpower? He's a good friend of Leo's. Go check him out. I think that's episode 9. And I've just seen Echo smacking it. Naughty set at the Temple events at Nikki Cohen and Wizardry, who also go check their episodes out. And she was so good. Reminds me how much I want to share her. So that's the original star OG episode 1. Go check Echo with me out while you're waiting, and all the other 18 episodes. Right, guys, I always appreciate you being here. Thanks for staying to the end. Peace and love.